Welcome everyone to this Doorway to the Paintings Halloween. And a little bit later on in this video, I'm going to be ranking the whole Halloween franchise. Well, not just me alone, but the distinguished judges that I have with me. We're all going to be making that judgment. All of us, as we've looked at the Halloween franchise very scientifically. We've looked at everything. We've looked at all the nuances, all the details, the story plots, the filming, the directing, the writing, everything. And we came up with this scientifically. The judges here and myself, believe me, there's no spoofs tonight. Everything is 100% true. No joking on Halloween night. But yeah, we've looked through all the movies. The whole franchise will be judged tonight. We're going to go from worst to first, the very bottom Halloween movies, all the way to the top, to the number one, the king of the Halloween movies. We're going to go all the way up there. And this is a place to be. I think you'll have a good time if you watch this video. We're going to have a meal. The Sawyer family, they're cooking tonight here at this. I'm not filming it, but we're all going to have dinner later, myself and everyone involved with the judging of the films tonight. Sawyer, they're going to cook some chili, the Sawyer family, and the award-winning chili that they're very famous for. And we're going to dig in later. And it doesn't matter, just stay with us. It doesn't matter what your taste is, whether you like pizza. I like pizza. I like burritos. Some people have different tastes. I like roast beef myself. And there's going to be a lot of refreshments and everything. So, a lot of people, there might not be anything for them to do tonight. They might not be sure what to do. I think if they watch this video, there's a lot of people who are just, they're kind of misty-minded. They're not quite sure what to do. They don't know where to go tonight, how to have fun. Well, here, it's right here. You're going to have fun tonight, and there's not going to be any politics at the table. No politics at the dinner table tonight. There's not going to be any, we're not going to make fun of anybody. We're not going to laugh at anyone's problems. Well, maybe a little bit. But believe me, it's going to be fun tonight, and the Halloween films are going to be judged. I know people are kind of touchy about the Halloween movies. It's got kind of an occult following, and hey, that's understandable. It's one of my very favorite franchises out of all franchises. I've always been a Halloween fan. I really appreciate the not only the franchise, but the genre. And I'm going to try, well, myself and the distinguished judges here that I introduced a couple minutes ago are going to be really, really focused. We're going to make a good judgment. In fact, we've already done that, and the votes have been cast. We've been looking at this for days, for nights in preparation, and we've taken it very serious. So, but we have. I'm sincere, we have. So that Halloween ranking will be coming up later. And by the way, if you feel like your life is just upside down, you have someone whispering in your ear, you'll never make it. Well, I think we'll cheer you up tonight. And before we go to the ranking, let's go to a symphony of mild terror featuring some of my paintings. Uh-oh. Well, without further delay, let's get to the Halloween ranking. Myself and these judges here have really come up with a perfect ranking, I think. I think the best probably video, probably best ranking you've ever seen. And we've looked at it scientifically. We've reviewed all the story plots. We've reviewed all the timelines, all the details, all the nuances. Let's get to it. So, which Halloween is at the very bottom? Can you guess? Well, myself and the judges have determined that Halloween Resurrection is at the bottom of the barrel. This movie, I'll have to say personally, I went to the theater to see it. I went to the theater to see it because, after all, it didn't go just to video. It was released into the theaters, maybe on a limited scale. But I went because it was at the theater. The title was interesting. Jamie Lee Curtis was in it. And it looked like it was going to be a good movie. Needless to say, it was a huge disappointment. And it's a movie that, you know, with all due respect, I wish, and a lot of the judges agree with me, we wish it would have never been made. And it kind of tarnished the franchise a little bit. But then later on, the franchise resurged and started to do well again with the most recent trilogy that we've gotten, which is 2018, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. So those three films, I won't say where they're ranked, but we all think that they're decent films. And we're going to move on to the second to the bottom. Which one is this? Can you guess? Well, myself and the judges decided that the second to the last Halloween film is Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie. Now, this movie here, I had a hard time watching it. I seen it a couple times. The first time I tried to watch it, at about 20 minutes in, I just turned it off. And I tried to watch it, tried to get into it, give it a chance, finally got through it. And I tried it a second time too, because the first time definitely didn't work for me. Maybe there's something I missed. Maybe I'm just not getting it. It didn't work for me. Myself and the judges, we looked at this and we looked at the storyline, the plot. And yes, there was some creativity there. They tried to go in a different direction. They tried to add more to the legend, tried to add more to the mythos of Michael Myers and the story and everything. But it just sat there for me. It didn't do anything for me. They tried, but I thought that a few of the ideas were okay, but they weren't executed right. And I believe that the Donald Pleasance character, played by Malcolm McDowell, it was changed, and I didn't like the direction they went. I didn't like him to play that kind of character. Malcolm McDowell's good as a devious character. You know, he's a great actor. He plays good guys and bad guys. He does really well as bad guys. He can play a good guy too, a charming guy, like in Time After Time with him and David Warner. But I thought that the Dr. Sam Loomis character should have been reserved as a good character, a hero, like he has been in the other films. And many of the judges agreed with me, although part of the judges kind of liked that darker direction, but they didn't believe it was executed properly, nor do I. So yeah, Halloween Part 2 by Rob Zombie was second to the last. So now moving on, third to the last is Halloween 1 by Rob Zombie. This one I thought was a little better than Part 2. Why? Even though, it was hard for me to get through this, I used to have it. The DVD. I watched it twice, and I tried watching a third time, but then I turned it off. Parts of it were okay. I don't think it was scary. I don't think either of the movies were scary, the two Halloween movies by Rob Zombie, but they were disturbing. They were gritty. They were pretty realistic in terms of certain scenes and some of the violence, a couple of the scenes. But other than being disturbing and dark, it didn't do anything for me. It didn't do anything for me creativity-wise. Didn't do anything for me in terms of the writing. didn't do anything for us in terms of the direction of the stories, except the first one I liked a little bit better, and so did most of the judges, probably over 50% of the judges. A lot of them almost chose part two. What am I doing tonight? Other judges? But anyway, part one I liked a little bit better because it did have some of that original Halloween formula that the classic by John Carpenter had. You know, when he got back to the neighborhood, and a big guy was playing Michael Myers. I like when Michael Myers is relatively big. He doesn't have to be a giant, but I like when they have a bigger guy. And that, I love H2O, but that was one of the problems I had with H2O. He was a little bit too slight. The first one with Nick Castle, he was slight too, but the mask and the way he moved and the way he presented himself made him look not so slight. I mean, the mask in the original had a bigger neck. Anyway, that's a whole, we're getting a little technical. But in this film, Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, when he got back to the neighborhood, got the mask, looked like Michael Myers, he was walking in the neighborhood, I started to feel like the original. And then it went right back down to that same old kind of disturbing path again, and a kind of a boring path, and which was repetitive, and it didn't do anything for me or most of the judges. So that's third to the bottom. Halloween 1 by Rob Zombie's third to the bottom. Coming in next is none other than, what's it going to be? Which one do you think it is? I'm just trying to build the suspense a little bit. It might be surprising. It's probably surprising to some of you out there that it hasn't already been mentioned. But Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Now, we went through this over and over and over again. Myself and these professional judges, expert panel, expert judges, we went through this meticulously for days and nights before the making of this video. And what we decided and what we came up with is, since Halloween 5 does have some of the formula that worked in the original films, part 1 and 2, and it didn't stray too much from the original formula that made Halloween the franchise it is, we're ranking it here above the first three, the bottom three. And we decided that it had enough of the original formula. Donald Pleasance is in here, and it had some of the Halloween atmosphere that made the Halloween franchise great, so we ranked it here. We hesitated. It was tough. I went through it over and over again, but it's here, even though there's certain parts in here that are irritating. The strange music with the two cops, and a few of the characters being irritating, and some of the acting, some of the situations, they were strange, but this ranks here. And we think we made the right decision because it did have enough of the Halloween formula. The art direction was pretty good. At the beginning, the opening of the film was pretty good. You had the pumpkin and him cutting the pumpkin with the butcher knife. Michael cutting the pumpkin with the butcher knife, creating this pumpkin. And it leaves off where part 4 ended, kind of like a Halloween 1 and 2 type deal, where it's basically one continuing from the other. And that whole scene where he went down the river after he escaped that pit, that pit, and they threw dynamite in, and then he got into the river, and the river carried him down to where the hermit lived, and the hermit nurses him back to health. We all thought that that was a pretty good opening, and that was one of the reasons it edged out the others. And we actually almost ranked it a little higher, but over 50% of us thought that it belonged here. I actually enjoy this one a little bit more than the next one that I'm going to talk about. What am I doing tonight? It's just me, right? Or, excuse me, well, no, it's all of us. But anyway, this movie here is a movie that I actually enjoy a little bit more than our next film in the Halloween franchise. But the next film that we're going to mention is ranked a little higher because most of the judges ranked it higher. And it's a better film. It's better put together, better edited, flows better. The look of the mask is better. Halloween 5 does not have a good mask, in our opinion, but the mask wasn't as bad as some of the masks used in Halloween H2O to most of us. Some might disagree, but to most of us, we thought the mask in here was not as bad as some of those. So because of that, and for a few other reasons, and plus the man in black, we thought that was interesting. We thought he was an interesting character, and it just should have been explored a little bit more in here. And we'll talk about that in one of the other films when we get to that film. So this one is ranked fourth to the bottom, and a lot of people might disagree, but our experts put their minds to it, and we think we came up with the right choice. But to each his own. This franchise is beloved by a lot of people. People take it serious, and we're not trying to rain on anyone's Halloween parade or anything by making these choices. So anyway, the next film is Halloween, originally called the... Darn it, I spilled my chili. Well, I got the chili cleaned up, that award-winning chili. I spilled a bowl of Drayton Sawyer's world-famous chili, so sorry about that, Drayton. I'll have more later. But back to the Halloween ranking. And by the way, when I spilled my bowl of chili, my hand hit the cord that goes to my microphone here, and it knocked the camera over, the phone camera. Still using a phone, but yeah, it knocked the camera over. So now we're back. We had to ask you to stand by. We're sorry about that. But anyway, back to the Halloween ranking. And coming in at number 9, the next film in the Halloween franchise is The Curse of Michael Myers, originally called The Origin of Michael Myers. This one was almost ranked a little bit below Part 5. And the reason for that is because the man in black was revealed to be the character of Wynn. And that's okay, but it could have been better. I wish it would have been, and some of the judges wish it would have been more of a interesting character, maybe more of like a supernatural character like Michael himself. Something to do a little bit deeper with the festival of Samhain, Halloween. We thought that would have been a better angle to go with. And it would have been funner. All in all, though, this movie is pretty good. It's a moderate Halloween movie, in my opinion. I think it's pretty enjoyable. The mask is pretty good compared to some of the others. To us, it's definitely better than the masks in Halloween H2O, and better mask than Halloween 5. It looks a little bit more like the original mask, and it's a well-done movie. It's better edited, better put together. That's why we ranked it higher than Halloween 5, even though I actually personally enjoy Halloween 5 a little bit more because it has some of that original formula, with all its mistakes, with all its problems, with some of the bad choices. I still think it's a little bit more enjoyable than The Curse of Michael Myers, but we think that this film deserves to be ranked higher because it's better put together, better production, better editing, and the whole thing. Coming in next at number 8 is Halloween H2O. Now, this movie here, when it first came out, it was almost my favorite Halloween. I really enjoyed it. And it's dropped for me over the years. Some of the other judges still love it. Quite a few of the judges like this movie. We ranked it here because we think that it is a decent film. And I like it quite a bit. From here on out, the rest of the movies are pretty much well liked by all of us. I like all the movies from here on out, starting with this one. I like part 5, and I like The Curse of Michael Myers too. A lot of people don't like those, especially part 5. I noticed part 5 is at the bottom of some other rankings. I still think it has enough Halloween formula, the neighborhood, the art direction. The Michael Myers is pretty big, and I think it has enough of the original elements to rank it the way we ranked it. This one here, H2O, is a good movie. I think it's well done. Jamie Lee Curtis always does a good job. Everyone in here did a good job. The story, it was directed by Steve Miner. That was another reason I always liked this film and still like it. Directed by Steve Miner, more of a serious Halloween movie. We needed that after even though I kind of like part 5, we needed that after 5. And I'm glad that the seriousness came back into the franchise with H2O. It just makes me wish all the more that Halloween Resurrection was never made. It's just a terrible follow-up to this movie, because this movie really is a good movie, and the rest of the judges would agree with me. Coming in above H2O is Halloween 2018, ranking number 7th in the Halloween franchise. Now, I really like this movie. I think it's well done. We got a good mask in here. Out of all the masks in the Halloween franchise, of all the movies in this franchise, I think this mask is probably the closest to the original mask in part 1 and 2. I really like that aspect. I like the homage to the Silver Shamrock masks in here. Some of the kids are wearing Silver Shamrock masks in this movie. This story uses a lot of the original formula. Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie Strode, is hunkered down now. She's got weapons. She's kind of like a Sarah Connor. You know, she's waiting for Michael Myers to get out. And so her character has changed quite a bit. I think they should have maybe adjusted her character just a little bit. I think that it's understandable that she has weapons and everything. I think they might have went too far with the security stuff, and they might have overblown what she went through a little bit, because there's a lot of survivors who went through a lot of, we got mass shootings, we have people who've survived attacks by killers, and they don't go as far as she did. So I thought that was a little fake compared to real life. However, you can understand it. You can't blame her. I thought her portrayal, like always, Jamie Lee Curtis does a really good job. And I thought that Michael Myers was really good in here. I really liked the Michael Myers in here, the mask, the story. So all in all, we thought that Halloween 2018 is a very solid addition to the Halloween franchise. It's a solid Halloween movie. A couple of the twists in there we thought that should have been either explored more or not tried at all. But all in all, it's just me tonight. I'm just having fun, make it a funner video. But anyway, 2018 is good. We're going to move on now. What's coming in at number 6? Coming in at number 6, is it Halloween Ends? Is it Halloween 4? Is it Halloween 3? Is it Halloween Kills? What is it? Well, we'll let the suspense build, and right now we'll take a trip to a scary place, Gromus's subterranean prison. And the art in here is pretty creepy. tone just went really serious with with that Gromus's subterranean prison. It was pretty creepy and scary. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. But back to the Halloween ranking and what's coming in at number 6. Well, myself and the judges, we've pondered this for days and nights before the releasing of this video, and we've determined that coming in at number 6 is Halloween Ends. Now, this one was almost number 5. Almost number 5. And it was actually almost below 2018. But the reason we put it above 2018 is because they tried something different. This film tried something different. It was an interesting twist with the introduction of this young man, this new killer who might take over for Michael Myers. At least that's how it was starting out. We thought it was very interesting, and we thought it should have been explored more. But the reason they explored it the way they did, and the reason that this is ranked above Halloween 2018 is for just that reason, that this is an interesting twist. They had the courage to try something different. They had the guts to risk people being very disappointed and angry at the film and them. But I think it worked. I think the twist was interesting. It was really interesting how they explored the darkness inside somebody and how circumstances and people and events in someone's life can change them. And what's your theory on, my theory and the theory of some others is that he was always dark inside, but he had good qualities too. In certain events and with coming in contact with Michael Myers and then going through different things that he went through, being pushed, being bullied, being mistreated, kind of unlocked the darkness that was already in him. I think it's a very interesting exploration on how the town and how people and how circumstances and the way we treat one another can change people and can change ourselves. I think it varies on degrees. I think that decent people who are treated bad can act not as decent. Bad people who are treated bad can act a lot worse. And my theory about this is that he was, he did good things. He had a good personality. He seemed like an okay young man. But inside, I think there was some darkness in there, and they unlocked it. The circumstances, the people, different things he went through, unlocked it. And instead of being just, and instead of handle it the right way, he chose the dark path. And I wish, in a way, I wish they would have, had him stand up against the bullies even more, and go down the path of justice first, and then later go down that dark path. And then I also wish that they would have left the door. I know it's Halloween Ends. I know that's the name of the movie, Halloween Ends, and so it should end here. But I wish they would have left the door open for him to continue on in sequels after this with his character. They could have had him go down that dark road for a little bit longer with Michael and get worse and worse and worse. They could have done that a little bit earlier in the film, have him deal with the bullies in a just way at the beginning, and then later go down the dark path and then go overboard where it left justice and turned into, serial killing, where he went later. So I think it could have been explored a lot more. Myself and a lot of the other judges, we thought that it could have been explored more, but it was a good idea. And that for that reason alone, and a couple other reasons, the acting was good, the plot, the mask again. The mask in 2018, the mask in Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends is the best mask, I think, besides the first two Halloween movies. I really do. And so this movie, for its originality and creativity, I think it ranks a little bit, just a little bit above 2018. We almost chose 2018 to be ranked higher, but we chose, in the end, we chose this one, Halloween Ends, to be ranked a little bit higher than 2018. So moving on and placing in at number 5, what's it going to be? Halloween 4, Halloween 3, what is it? It's Halloween Kills. And Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, along with Halloween 2018, were all really close. Really, really close. A lot of things were even. A lot of things were about the same. And the reason Halloween Kills is a little bit better than Halloween Ends and Halloween 2018 in my mind and the mind of most of our judges, the minds of most of our judges, is because this Michael Myers is the Michael Myers that is more powerful, more intimidating. James Jude Courtney does a really good job as Michael Myers. Very believable. His body language, the way he moves, and then coupled with that mask is just fantastic. 2018 Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, James Jude Courtney. Just, I think he's the best Michael Myers since Nick Castle and Dick Warlock. And then George P. Wilbur did a good job too. There's a couple others. But yeah, James Jude Courtney did great in 2018 Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. But we decided to rank Halloween Kills a little bit above 18 and Ends because of the fact that Michael Myers is so strong in here and he does what he does best, and it's more action. That gives you more action. It gives you more excitement for the movie, and that's what Halloween was always about. So it just matches very well. Well, coming in at number 4, and this was my favorite Halloween movie when it first came out, is Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers. I've loved this movie. This is still one of my favorites. I really like it. The fact that he returned, I was so pumped. I saw this I was taken to see this by an uncle at the theater. I was taken to the theater at 11 years old when this came out. And the end of the movie was, I don't get scared at horror movies. There's only 3 horror movies that ever scared me all the way through the movies. And that was The Omen, the original Omen with Gregory Peck, Omen 2 with William Holden, and then Omen 3 with Sam Neill. Those are the only 3 that ever scared me. I wasn't even scared by The Exorcist, except for a few select scenes. I think Exorcist Part 3 and Exorcist 1 are the best of that franchise. But yeah, I never really got scared by scary movies except just a few select scenes from a few movies. Just Omen 1, 2, and 3. But Halloween 4, the end of it, when the little girl, Jamie Lloyd, becomes like Michael Myers at the end, and she has like the clown costume, and it's a shock, and people were surprised. At the theater, I was surprised. I wasn't expecting, and I was only 11. And then Dr. Loomis said, no, not again. It's starting all over again with that evil. It's almost like that evil was transferred into her from Michael Myers. So that's, yeah, that scared me when I was a little kid at the theater. The rest of the movie didn't, but it was fun. The movie was fun. I thought that it was the best Halloween when it first came out because it's the return of Michael Myers. I was so pumped because my favorite timeline is Halloween 1, 2, and 4. I like that even better than the H2O timeline, the 2018 timeline. I never appreciate when they skip part 2. There's certain Halloween movies that I like, but they skipped part 2. They don't acknowledge part 2, and I don't like that because part 2 has always been one of my favorites. I really love part 2. Part 4 was my favorite when it first came out. Over time, as the months went by, the years went by, always, gravitated, back to my original tastes. But Halloween 4, very well done. I like how he takes the power out in the town. I used to work at a place that had Transformers there at the place. When I did security, I used to work there, and they had Transformers there. Worked there for a long time. But this movie came out long before I got that job. But yeah, he took out the power, took down the transformer. The lights went out in the whole town. He could be anywhere. I thought it was really well done. And he returned. He survived from part 2. And he was in the burn ward. And they transported him. And he finally came back. You had part 2 in your mind. I had part 2 in my mind as I was watching this film. I think that's one of the reasons it made it even better. So yeah, part 4 was always one of my favorites. And the distinguished judges here, they've always loved it. They've always been fans. But yeah, the Halloween 4, what can you... The mask is a problem, but I don't think the mask was any worse than the one in H2O. In fact, I like George P. Wilbur's portrayal of Michael Myers. I thought the mask was okay. I never hated the mask. To me, it's better than the one in H2O. make that clear. I think I might have accidentally said part 4, but I think the mask in part 4 is better than the masks in H2O, even though they're kind of similar. But George P. Wilbur, he sure fills out the clothes and he looks bigger. I like my Michael Myers to be big, not like a giant, but I like him to be thick. You know, fill out the coveralls. But yeah, part 4 is one of my favorites. So we got 3 left. The final 3. What's it gonna be? I've had other videos on my channel that talk about the first 3. So if you've seen those, you probably know where I stand, or at least a little. I haven't done a lot of these videos, so maybe you do, maybe you don't. But me and the distinguished judges went through it again to see if we could change our minds. We see if maybe we could shuffle them a little bit. So coming in at number 3, in this movie, I have to say, sometimes I like it better than all the Halloweens. It depends on what mood I'm in. But coming in at number 3 is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Now, this is a movie I've always liked. I was never a person who hated it when it came out. I was disappointed Michael Myers wasn't in it, but I'm actually proud that it's part of the franchise. I'm actually proud that it's part of the Halloween franchise because I think it makes the franchise better. It's a movie I like. I've always enjoyed. I love Tom Atkins. Think he did a great job. Dan O'Herlihy did a really great job as Connell Cochran. Everyone did good. Tommy Lee Wallace sure carried the torch really well from John Carpenter into this movie. Carpenter did the first one. Tommy Lee Wallace did a really great job with this third one. I think he really did well. And yeah, the whole team, I think, worked together well to make this movie good. I like it. Kind of reminds me of the Twilight Zone a little bit. Kind of mixture of technology, and then they use the power of Stonehenge and the ultimate sacrifice to take place on Halloween with any kid or person wearing a mask. The trademark has the little piece of Stonehenge in it. Anyone watching the big giveaway, it's an interesting scene where Connell Cochran talks to Tom Atkins' character about Sam Hain and Samhain and the festival and the ultimate sacrifice. And he said that planets are in alignment. The whole thing about this movie, I think it's very iconic. My art was inspired by this movie a little bit. Certain scenes like the grass, the masks, and especially when it shows the support columns for the freeway at the beginning, the overpass where the guy's got the mask and he's running away from the robots, the cyborgs, whatever they are, in the car, but he's running through, and then you got that really good music. Love the music by John Carpenter and Alan Howarth. Great music in this franchise, probably the best of almost any franchise. The original Omen had good music too, the first 3 films. But yeah, this movie has always been one of my favorites from the beginning. I think that if they would have called it, some people think that if they would have called it Season of the Witch, it would have solved the problem that, Michael Myers isn't in here. And that's actually a good idea. Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. However, I think a better idea would have, because I love the fact that it's part of the franchise. I'm proud that it's part of the Halloween franchise. I think a better idea would have been to have every time there's a commercial, every time there's a trailer on television, start out saying Michael Myers is dead and gone, but now a new threat arises. If they would have started each commercial, each trailer with that, making it clear that he's gone, there wouldn't have been that disappointment. You still would have had this as part of the franchise. It would have been better received. Anyway, that's past. I'm glad it's resurged in the last few years. I'm glad that people are really following it now because it deserves that. It's one of the best Halloween movies, I think. So there it is, ranked number 3 at number 3, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Next, it's either Halloween 1 or 2. We looked at it, we've analyzed it. Will Halloween 1 be dethroned by Halloween 2? Who knows? We could have changed our minds after we've looked at it and analyzed it. Since I was a kid, I've always liked them both about the same, with Halloween 1 usually edging out Halloween 2. Coming in at number 2 is Halloween 2. And this is a movie I've always loved. I actually think Halloween 2 and Halloween 3, and Halloween 1 has a ton of atmosphere, but I actually think Halloween 2 and Halloween 3 have more atmosphere than any Halloween movie of the whole franchise. Just my opinion. The music is great in part one. In part two, I actually think the music is a little bit better. I think Carpenter's music in here has more of a synthesizer sound, more of a bass sound, and I actually think they improved on it. One reason I love this movie so much is, I got a lot of nostalgia for it. I grew up watching it when they repeated on HBO. But the atmosphere, the music, the cinematography. Dean Cundy has done a fantastic job with the Halloween films, everyone he was involved in. And just the neighborhood, the hospital scene, the hospital sequences, that whole setting, just fantastic. You had some comedy in there with the actor Leo Rossi, played a character called Bud. Leo Rossi was an actor that I followed for years. I've seen him in various movies, both funny and serious. Serious movies, like with The Accused, Relentless, and then Halloween 2 is obviously a serious film, but he brought some comedy to it. He was in Maniac Cop Part 2. He was always an actor that I thought was interesting. Heart Like a Wheel, which was a true story, a drama. He did a good job in there. But anyway, Leo Rossi aside, I think he was always a paisan. I always liked Leo Rossi. But anyway, I like the cast in here, the characters. I think it was fun. I think the sheriff, the police, the deputy in here was good. I think everyone, Sheriff Brackett's, his character had a little role in here, not like in the first one. He's always good. I thought the deputy that helped Sam Loomis in here, look for Michael, the blonde-haired guy, I thought that he did a good job. This movie, I've always liked it. I thought the atmosphere put it almost above part one. But so you know what part one is ranked. Obviously, part one, still the king, still enthroned. Halloween 1, the original John Carpenter's classic, is still. Now, I have to tell you something. I like part 1 and 2 about the same for a few different reasons. Obviously, similar formula, same mask. I like both of the films very much, but Halloween 1 is still number one. Great neighborhood, the great look for the movie. That neighborhood provided so much character. Places and buildings and settings can be characters too. I love the neighborhood, the leaves. When they made the movie, they had to pick up leaves. They made it in the spring, but they made it look like fall with the leaves on the ground. And then when they finished the scene, they pick all the leaves up for the next scene. And they got the Star Trek mask, William Shatner Star Trek mask, painted it white, messed the hair up, took the eyebrows and took the sideburns off and just made it into that iconic Halloween mask. John Carpenter really started something special here with his Halloween franchise. He's the man who started it all. We all owe him the credit for this franchise and its strength and its iconic nature in that mask. And what a creative team. Tommy Lee Wallace, Deborah Hill, everyone who was involved. Jamie Lee Curtis, the original Scream Queen. So Donald Pleasance. He's always going to be the best Sam Loomis, I think. So that's the ranking. Halloween 1 is still number one, and it still has the top place. So I hope you enjoyed this tonight, ranking all the Halloweens and the rest of the stuff we've been through from me and the rest of the judges here. Have a safe Halloween. Don't go through any dark alleys. Don't go through any cemeteries on the way home. Avoid all those strange houses, and have a happy Halloween.